Yeah, so the last time I smoked DMT was 2 months ago in my old apartment. Let me kind of paint the scene for you. Um, I have a popcorn roof, and what I did was I had headphones in like before my previous trips. I laid back. I only took four pulls, maybe four 10-second pulls. The trip was very intense but very short also. It wasn't even a 5 minute trip. I took about four pulls, laid back. So I'm looking at the popcorn roof, right? And I start seeing all this symbolism, and I could see the geometry coming in. It's almost like it's fading in. And next thing you know, my whole room starts to look like the popcorn roof. Like it's just becoming symbolism and geometry all around me. And it was kind of similar to one of my previous DMT trips, but it was a little different. It wasn't what was strange about it was like I could still hear the music I was listening to, because before on my DMT trip it was like I didn't even hear the music no more. I used the music to kind of guide my way into the trip, but I couldn't hear it once I was fully immersed into the trip. This time, I could hear the music playing, and it was playing the whole time. Um, so when I started noticing the geometry started fading in, and everything started getting HD crisp, the contrast was turned up. I uh, I just kind of just let go. I just laid back. This time I didn't have no pre-flight anxiety. I just kind of wanted to go right in, and I'm listening to an artist, Sundrop Garden. Um, I listen to her a lot. I listen to her during a lot of my mushroom trips, and I love her production. I love her voice. Her sounds are very alien. It's like listening to a female shaman, kind of in a sense, to for me. And I just really enjoy her music. So I was listening to a song called "Faded" during this during this DMT trip. And what was very strange about it was like during all the geometry forming, right? The fucking geometry patterns and all that. A being kind of like sprouted up in front of my vision, but it was kind of like it kind of moved like a snake came, and then it like showed it had arms. It was, and I know it's strange to say this, but I definitely knew it was like a female presence right off the rip. And I don't know if it's because of the song I was listening to and it was a female I'm listening to, but I knew it was a female right off the rip. And she kind of had a little, kind of had hair and shit. It was almost like she was made of the geometry too. It was almost like she was the geometry world, the walls, the realm I was in. I don't know what you want to call it, but she was of that. And then she started looking cartoony, and I almost want to say like when I could make out somewhat of a face because she started singing to the song I was listening to. So it was getting real trippy. I almost want to say it was almost like a Tim Burton animation. Like it looked like the main character female from Nightmare Before Christmas, the girl who could like take her arms apart and shit and take her legs off, and I forget what the fuck her name was. Sally, I think. I'm pretty sure it was like Sally or some shit, but it looked just like that, but made of geometry and so much colors, and it was fucking crisp as hell. It was fire and it was creepy at the same time. And I had a sense that it was like a fairy because, the music I was listening to, it's very like I said, it's almost like I'm listening to a female shaman. So I just had to It felt like the essence of the forest or some shit. I felt like it was a fairy I was looking at, a giant fairy, and she started singing the song. And what made me think she was a fairy was she had like two little wings I could see coming from off her shoulder blades. But it wasn't the typical fairy. It didn't look like no fucking Tinkerbell. It didn't look like no shit like that. It was like a she was like made of the geometry, but I don't know, bro. It was very strange. It was very trippy. This trip literally lasted only like I'm gonna say 4 to 5 minutes, but it got very intense, and I was so intrigued. I wasn't shook or nothing, even though I did feel like it was kind of creepy looking. But I wasn't shook. I kind of just embraced it. I was fully immersed into the trip. I just embraced her singing because I loved the song. So it kind of helped me get. It kind of helped me get through that, and it was weird. It was just very weird that I could still hear the music because normally I'm kind of so far out there that I forget the music's even playing until I kind of come back. But this time I heard the whole song while I'm looking at this fairy being kind of emerging in front of me, and then she started singing the song I was listening to. And at that point, I feel like I was immersed. I was definitely immersed in the trip because my whole room looked like the geometry that I seen forming from off the popcorn roof. It looked like all the symbolism, and it was too much for me to gather, too. Like, for me to try to I give it to those artists who draw those the trippy uh shit, the sacred geometry and all that. I give it to them because that shit is very hard to grasp. But one thing I had a thought about just now. Um, it's weird because with like DMT trips, you your head is clear. Like it's not like fogged like how it would be in a psilocybin trip or LSD trip. It wasn't like I wasn't stuck in no thought loops or anything. It was just a clear happening. And just the end of the DMT trip, when it all slips away, I kind of just opened my eye. From what I remember, I kind of just opened my eyes, and everything was just really bright in my room, very sharp, crisp as hell. Like I had 20/20, but I have bad eyes, and everything was I could see the detail in everything. I even started cleaning my room a little after that, but it's weird how you're so clear minded in the trip, but when you come out of it, it's like it slips away just like a dream. Like you can only remember bits and pieces and certain parts that I guess truly touched you or whatever. But yeah, it's not like psilocybin or LSD where sometimes you get stuck in a thought loop or there's confusion and all that. There's none of that. I never had that kind of on DMT. Like me, I might be confused at what I'm looking at, but it's no confusion. Like I don't feel like I don't know how to explain it, bro. But that shit was wild. That shit was intense. It was trippy.